Guys, we're back to Bourbon Bum here, and today I've got my very special guest, Nick Slavik. Nick, you are the owner, operator of Nick Slavik Painting and Restoration. Thank you so much for being on the show with us today.
No, absolutely, man. When Matt calls, I answer. And this is an honor to be here.
I think I am the one, actually, that is very honored to have you with us.
Stop it. Flattery will get you everywhere.
Well, a couple things to get out of the way. Nick is my third cousin. There's going to be some questions, spoiler alert, on kind of us growing up and some funny questions, but I kind of want to get into some of the important stuff first, and that is this thing called your company. Yes. I'm on social media, so obviously I'm aware, but tell me about your beginnings with Nick Slavik Painting and Restoration.
Okay, so this is, man, what a story. So I grew up in a trades-based family business, right? So both of my parents were journalism and English majors. My dad painted in college. When they could not find work in the journalism area, they started a painting business. And like most upper Midwest trades-based businesses, dad did the work, kids were employed during the summer, ma did the books, and that's how we went. This is every trades company in the upper Midwest. Up until about 10 to 18, I was basically an indentured servant for the family business. Like, you know how it goes, like Easter, Christmas, weekends, evenings, all time was your dad's time, right? And that's just how it goes. Let's see, 18 to 22, I joined the Army. It was 2000, 9/11 happened, I went to Afghanistan, Iraq, I used the GI Bill to get a bachelor's degree in business with some minors in accountings. Came back, went to rejoin the family business, and Dad basically told me there's not a place for you here. So I started my own business 6 months later, and this is the 15th anniversary of my business this year.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's been awesome.
Okay, so in some of your earliest beginnings, I remember seeing a truck. Tell me about the truck, because I'm a gearhead. I love cars. So tell me about the truck. How did you come in to this truck?
Is that my green truck? My Seamus green Dodge?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is the most unique truck ever. And you'll love this story too, as old trucks go. I have this beautiful Seamus green 1969 swept side Dodge pickup truck. It's a 3/4 ton. It's got a V8. It's got all the fancy sort of like swoopy chrome moldings. The green is like no other green you've ever seen.
It's a unique green.
Split rim wheels, 3/4 ton, 2-wheel drive, 8-foot bed. It is a unique truck. I bought it at a garage sale when I was in college. So it was literally like Montgomery, a town that we know and love.
Yep.
Tiny little sleepy Montgomery. There was a dude who was selling. He was into 69 Dodge swept sides. And he was selling 3 to afford a paint job for 1. I bought the one that you could drive off the lot there. I bought it for $750.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And this would have been what date again, roughly?
Oh, dude, I was in college, man. So
okay.
we're literally talking like 2005 or something. Like,
so before the whole dream had...
Dude, I've had that thing for 15, 17 years ago. That was just like, and of course, this is the irrational exuberance of youth, which is I'm in college.
Yep.
I don't own a home. I just got out of the Army. I'm living in my parents' basement. I'm dating my future wife. Let's buy a historic vehicle.
At a garage sale.
A completely useless truck in Minnesota, a 2-wheel drive, 3/4 ton truck that just snorts exhaust. And you're like, yeah, of course, just buy that for $750. And I just did. So, long before the business. And then I found a old historic sign writer, a guy who's a horse farmer out in the country. And I had him, when I started my business, do my logo on that, like an old 1969 sort of thing. I still drive it around now, take the kids for hay rides out in the country.
Yes.
And it is a absolutely beautiful machine.
Every time I see that truck, I'm like, that truck right there. I know, that is, for me, the dream is having something.
Side story, because if you appreciate that sort of thing, you'll appreciate this, which is we bought a farm 8 or 9 years ago. And it's an old 1800s historic farm. It's just ramshackle. It got left to the buoys and this and that. And I was out there just tooling around, as you do on your farm with your truck, and the thing lit on fire. So I'm literally like, it's a shifter on the floor, manual transmission. There's flames shooting up the boot. There's no boot, right, on that shifter. There's flames shooting up there, and there's no running water. Like, there's not a hose spigot out there. So at the time, there's an 1800s farmhouse out there, which has just been, it's a Blair Witch house, man. Yeah. There's nothing left of it. It's the scariest place on earth. And I was actually, I had a pump pumping out the basement because we were in a flood cycle out there. And I turned on the pump from the windmill and I put the fire out with the flood water from the basement in that house. If it hadn't been flooding, I wouldn't have that pump. I literally would have sat out there and watched that truck burn
to the ground. Absolutely.
I had a BMW mechanic friend of mine from high school who BMW's been genius. I mean, BMW's
Yeah.
there's 3 wires in this truck.
You gotta be-
BMWs have 21 computers, right?
Yeah.
He helped me rebuild that truck back to stock in his garage in the winter the next year. So
Oh, wow. Okay, and so another side story then. This is the house that I actually came to sell. So I'm going to back up a little bit. I helped Nick sell his house, this beautiful
you
yellow
didn't help me.
house.
You sold it.
Well, that was a very funny experience. That was going to be my question. Funny stories earlier is that was my second house filming, and I was very nervous. You guys were in that house, and I was so nervous for that filming because Nick, you guys were downstairs, just kind of minding your own business. But I was like, and we've got what flooring, and Nick would kind of,
And so what people need to know is that you were an absolute pro. You could never tell that it was your second time. You knew getting into that. It's not only family. That house is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
That 15 years, I bought that again. I bought that house in college. I bought a lot of stuff in college, but that was, I'll say, during the beautiful subprime mortgage time.
Yeah.
Back when you could take a Post-it note and say, I make $250,000 a year and slide it across the table to
Good.
the banker. They're like, here's your house. I was in college. I bartended at a polka facility for tips, right? And they gave me a house. And of course, we refinanced before the thing set. And it was great for us because it's a 1917 Craftsman. And it had been worked over in 1988, so aesthetically it didn't meet the demands of youth.
Yeah.
But all the bones were there. Everything was there. So over 15 years, as we grew a business and a family, every major milestone and history and moment I had as a memory in my life was built in that house. Poor Matt comes in to sell it, and this is like my baby.
Yeah.
Like, I handmade every piece of trim on that main floor, white oak, and hand
Oh
finished
my
it myself. So when you came in, like, man, he better do this house justice. You knocked it out of the park, man. Like it's like you lived in that house yourself. Honestly. So.
Yeah. Well, and it was a beautiful house to show. Amy, if you're watching, you were just so gracious, and thank you so much for letting us invade your home. And the one thing we're gonna flash, I'm sure, to a picture. We're gonna get Nick to put a picture in there. But the bathroom, the what you call the prison style bathroom.
The prison style shower. So
it's just all tile. It's all white tile.
This is a thing that honestly, that house, besides all the memories and the woodwork and all the other stuff, my wife reminds me often that we do not have the same shower that we once did in that house. So in a 1917 house, you're not blessed with a lot of closets, right?
Yep.
That house had 3 walk-in closets on the second floor in a 1917 house. That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
One of them was off the bathroom. We gutted that and we completely waterproofed it and turned it into a walk-in shower, subway tile, floor to ceiling, everything. Penny rounds on the floor. We had those old historic nickel-plated exposed shower heads there. 2 of them too, because we put in a specific tempered glass sealed window to let that east light in the morning.
Yep.
And I used that AZEC trim, that plastic composite trim in there.
Yep.
So I mimicked the trim in the rest of the house, but it's plastic, it can't rot. And we called it the prison style shower because we have 4 kids and they'd be playing outside full of stuff. We would literally throw them in there, and it's a waterproof room. You hose them down, like back up against the wall, prisoner, one of those things.
Yeah.
And they're just like this. But it was the greatest thing ever for our family, and I was told that we must recreate that in our forever house. So
it was like $1 million idea. I knew when I toured the house, I was like, we're gonna get a picture of this, and we did.
That should be the only picture to sell that house. Literally nothing else.
Remember when we started the outside of the house, we would just show the bathroom, the prison bathroom.
Yep.
So the vision of where your company is at currently, because you alluded to your shop, your land, and I know that has been a big part of this next transition. So tell me a little bit about where your business is at now. Where are things at currently?
Oh my God. So we, in the 15th anniversary, we find ourselves with about 30 people employed in the winter and about 40 people in the summer. We have a fully functioning leadership team with a project management staff, estimators, office coordinator. We have 2 master craftspeople stationed in our finishing facility, because when we go, we'll probably do 200 kitchens worth of cabinetry, where we take that golden oak stuff, the old maple, the dark espresso stained stuff. People don't want that anymore. Our craftspeople will insert themselves, and in about 4 days, they'll bring those back. We'll finish up in our professional finishing facility, OSHA blessed, code compliant, spray booth, drying room. And we'll do about 200 of those a year. So we have that finishing facility. We also, within that facility, conference room, offices, really cool, sleek space, open, stand-up desks, but also a training facility for our apprenticeship program. So what we are known for is this principle we call the decent human being principle, which is we find good people, we inspire them to get into the trades, and then we teach them how to be master craftspeople. So we have to scale replica bedroom, kitchen, bathroom where we can train on. in our shop.
Wow.
So we find ourselves now in a really cool place where we're creating our own master craftspeople who win national awards for their work. We're able to help. I think we did 600 jobs last year. So 600 times we were trusted to be going into somebody's house and give them a real professional trades experience with master craftspeople. Because you guys deal in the house world. Clients, realtors are largely underserved by home service professionals. There's not enough good professional companies that have business systems that answer their phone, that deliver on a promise, and can actually do world-class work. So right now, it's a great place to operate in, and so we find ourselves in that space. We have carpentry capabilities, we have drywall capabilities, inside, outside. We can restore a Victorian mansion. We can paint your powder.
Yes. It's been so cool to watch some of the things, not only that you incorporate in your business, but some of the work that you've done. Pictures tell 1,000 words. It's just there's so much that can be told in some of the restoration work that you've done. Not only your painting, but the restoration work, and then also the development of people, which is absolutely it's so cool to just see someone go from, hey, I think I want to paint, to like, I'm really good at what I do, and this is now my passion.
Yeah.
Like, that's incredible.
And what's really interesting, sometimes it's not even I think I want to paint. I almost set a trap, and I net them and I drag them in like, hey, this is really cool. Just trust me. It's one of those things. So, and almost everybody really, there's almost nobody we employed that was like, I'm going to get into the trades, and specifically the painting industry. It's more like I need a job, or I want to change my job. I want to find an inspiring group of people, and we know, just like you guys, when you take a look at professional companies at Sherwin-Williams, Best Buy, even Super America gas stations, they're a leadership development organization that haps to traffic in gas, electronics, other things, selling houses. And so real professional businesses understand that people are the only differentiator. I mean,
absolutely.
In a world where there's very few, what I'm assuming, sellers of houses who have proprietary software that gives them an edge. You guys are all selling the houses. You have access to the same houses to sell. For the love of God, we painters wear the same pants and buy the same paint. There are no trade secrets.
Right.
There's not a edge that I can get. You win with people.
Yeah.
So when you realize, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but when you develop your people and you create this great culture of trust and empathy, you win with that. And you also have to deliver on your promise of the basic thing you do.
Absolutely.
But that's not enough.
Yeah.
It's the experience.
Well, and again, going back to something you mentioned, like just picking up your phone, you're already ahead, I would say, 50% of contractors that I've interacted with.
90% of painters.
God bless you for just being available to people.
I know.
So one more quick question professionally, 2 follow-up questions. One, tell me a little bit about your it looked like you got a sponsorship of sorts. Tell me about that. How did that situation arise?
Is this the Ask a Painter sort of thing?
This is the Sherwin. No, there's a specific brand of paint that you were basically sponsored. Is my understanding.
Yeah. So there was. All right. So this is another weird thing too. There is a friend of mine, Corey Leister, who lives out in Pennsylvania, and she has a cabinet painting company, and she worked with the manufacturer to create her own line of paint, and she named a paint color after me. So it's one of her paints are named after like deep core values, and so she named a deep navy blue of me. So that was a really fun thing. So
that's fantastic.
Which is weird. And so this is like, before this we talked about like low self-esteem, and she sent me this thing. She's like, hey, this is named after you. I'm like, oh, that's cute of you. Like you sent me this thing and said it was named after me, and I was like, oh, that's fine. I'll probably use it on a dresser or whatever. It's this wonderful like 2K poly imported from Italy. It's a very fine coating. And she was like, no, Nick, I came up with a paint line, and there's like core values listed on this thing, and like trust is that one, and I named it after you because that's what I see in you. And I was like, oh, really? Like, but you couldn't bring me to believe that a human, even a friend of mine, would name a color of a paint after you. I just thought, oh, you're just saying that for everybody. Like,
great, thank you.
Exactly.
Thanks for the.
But that's where it literally took her a month to convince me. Like, no, specifically that was for you. And so now it sits in a little, barrister bookcase, a historic bookcase in my office. So it's a good thing.
That's so cool. All right, so we have to, of course, talk about the future. Where do you see your company in the next 10, 15, 20 years? Where are you going?
Big question. So this is something, I am the visionary of this company, and it is my duty to figure that out. And I would be lying to you if I told you I knew exactly what that was. I don't. So I have an idea. I like to do lots of thought experiments. We can look 1, 3, 5, 10, 20 down the road, and it gets more and more blurry as you go. The interesting thing is, as we've grown from one person to 30 to 40, every time we finish a quarter, a semester, or a year, I get new data points, and that makes me think about this differently. So what you'll find in all businesses is there's the growth and then the plateau, the safe plateau, where all of a sudden your overhead meets your production capacity and sales capacity, and you almost enter a sweet spot. And to go to the next level, you don't add a person, you need to add about 8 at a time. And you don't make a small revenue jump, you make a big one. So all the data I have now shows that we're at a beautiful little safe spot, and we want to maximize our systems before we even consider the next leap. My job as the visionary is to now say, what does that leap look like? How many people? And then bring it to my team and get buy-in from your people. Because unilaterally, if I just show up and be like, hey guys, we're going to double our business next year, they're just like, you're doing it again, one of those things. So now at this point, we're sophisticated enough where this leap doesn't happen with the buy-in from my entire leadership team. So now it's one of those things where we have to discover, I can put those puzzle pieces together, and I could say, this is the time and money commitment it's going to take, this is what it's going to look like, this is the layers of overhead we need, we may even need a different facility, we may need more vehicles. This is the investment, here's the commitment, who's with me, and we'll see.
Well, and that sort of answer kind of convinces me that you're executing very well in the here and now. And it tells me that your team is doing very well in the here and now. So
my team is literally looked up to into this industry as like world-class arbiters of what it is to be project managers, estimators, and it's way less because of me and way more because of that core values they have. And I'm just lucky enough to be there as a freedom machine that can offer them an opportunity. So
that's so cool. That's so cool. And also, it's a tough job as a leader to drive people past what's comfortable, right? We as human beings want to stay in what's comfortable. I can see Samantha nodding in the background. We as people want to stay in what's comfortable and be in our lane and stay in our lane, but you as leaders have to keep pushing, have to keep driving past that comfortable stage.
Listen,
so
you're speaking about something we all know, but something that I am immersed in right now, which is setting out reach goals for people. And I remind my team all the time, like, listen, this is not a stock room at Target. There's no time to hide on your phone.
Yeah.
Like, you're here for a reason. I set proper expectations, which is if you want to do something interesting, if you want to actually move the needle on a change in an industry and provide world-class service where world-class service doesn't exist, you're going to be here, but prepare for uncomfortability because in the reach goals.
Yeah.
You have to constantly put a reach goal there. Now, the wisdom of a leader, and this is the thing where my compass is not fully calibrated yet, which is how far do you set those reach goals? And you can bug a team out, right? Like if you just say, I just need you to double all your goals this year, that person's gonna quit, right?
Yeah, too much.
So you need to put something where it's achievable, it's measurable, something that they can do, but also pushes them ahead.
Yeah.
And that's the challenge of what is that?
Yeah, measurable, right? That's something that I champion. I think that's really important. It's got to be something.
You either did it or you didn't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And how do we adjust? How do we make adjustments in real time?
Yes.
So, so a couple of things to wrap up in terms of I just have to get off. So, number one, wrapping up the business piece of things.
Yeah.
If you were to give advice to anyone who is looking to sell their home, and it's either exterior paint, interior paint, maybe even a mild restoration, what is one piece of advice that you could give our viewers in terms of that, other than call you?
No, and you know what's interesting? A lot of the value of my business comes from the point that we are objective operators in this space. And the best advice I would give to a homeowner is do nothing if you don't have to. Like, just do nothing, right? Number one, if you don't have to sell your house, don't. If you have to sell your house, don't do anything if you don't have to. If you get a guy like Madden who knows what he's talking about, and there's some things that will legitimately alter the price or the selling time of your house, change those things. But there's good objective advice from a craftsperson. When people call me for an estimate, if you call me for an estimate for the outside of your house and say, should we paint it? I'll be like, I could probably get another 3 years. Or, oh my God, like your wood is rotting and falling off, we need to do something now. But you're gonna get that objective opinion. So I dwell in that space of, we cross a line from the good objective advice into my opinion. My opinion is, and this is where it clouds it, which is, I would rather do this stuff myself to a house, so I would rather see an unmolested house.
Sure.
But I know that there's a lot of people who don't want to go through that and would rather say, paint all my trim, paint all my cabinets, get a gray throughout the house, repaint the ceilings and move on. This is where it gets cloudy for me because I would rather make those decisions, but I have a feeling I'm in the minority. The majority of clients that we work for to repaint their houses, either right before a sale or right after, really don't want to make the hassle because they're making a big life move.
Yeah.
They don't need one more thing. So
Right.
they would rather have that done beforehand. So
Sure.
yeah, best advice I could give people is do the minimum, because pros like Matt will maximize the value and the ease and the professionalism of that transaction. A lot of times I've seen people go through and give us $28,000 to do all the trim and walls in the house and didn't alter the selling price. It
Sure.
may have moved up the selling time, which is also, there's a time value of money and things there, but honestly it's like, I don't know, the best advice is do the least you can, but if you have a house from 1982, you may want to
talk.
little
Well,
updates. So.
talk to a professional, right? I think that's the key. That's what I always tell my clients, right? Is talk to a professional.
Yeah.
We've all seen bad okay, if you've been through a home at all in the last 10 years, we've all seen an enamel job that's been self-done, done with paint that doesn't match. It's it's not right. We can always tell a job that has been done by a non-professional.
It's better to do nothing than a bad job.
Yes,
right?
because what does that take to go into a house that has all this stuff done for you?
Here's the problem. Like we get 30 calls a year. The last homeowner did their cabinets, or a bad operator in the space did the cabinets, and they're like, just come in and fix them. And what people don't understand is that the time value of our craftspeople outstrip replacement a lot of the time. So really, when we're looking at a set of kitchen cabinets, like nowadays you can get a really finely made set of kitchen cabinets for $8 to $18 grand, give or take. It will literally take us that to fix the ones you have, and you're left with a thing that's been fixed. So again, being that objective sort of operator in the space, we tell people all the time that, especially in a case of non-adhesive paint on cabinets, we have to strip these down to bare. At that point, you're way past replacement cost. You literally, a bad paint job will cost you replacing your kitchen.
Oof. There you go. There's the takeaway right there.
Yep.
All right, so we unfortunately have to tie in some of our family kind of history, family stories. So the one story that I did want to bring up really quick is we would once a year have a white elephant exchange. And what was great about the white elephant exchange is that, unfortunately for your family, we didn't know how the game was played. We are new to this white elephant thing. It's a very Minnesotan thing. Even though Dad's from Minnesota, we weren't raised here. So we would show up to these white elephant things and bring just awful things. But you guys would bring absolute gold. So things like Tom Jones CDs, which you thought was hilariously bad, we'd be like, yes, give me some Tom Jones.
Unintended consequence, yeah. We thought it was a gag gift. Turns out the Turks real
cranked
kick
that
on
for an hour
yeah.
back up to Waconia. Literally cranked it for the entire hour back up. There was the infamous Purple Monkey that was a money safe. And that was a near and dear gift, and that's one that stayed in the family. We moved, and God knows what happened to the Purple Monkey. But that Purple Monkey was, Mom would go into coffee. I probably can't use this photo. But Mom would go into coffee, and her friend would go, "Hey, shake the Purple Monkey to get the money." So that was the running joke. Exactly. And of course, we always took it the wrong way. So. Anyways, I think that's all I have for filming. Is there anything that you wanted to add, or is there anything that you wanted to put in there?
So, outside of being connected as family, like you're a pro, man. It's fun to work with you, and the care that you gave to my house, like these are emotional things. And in my business, there's we actually calculated this the other year. 1.8% of all my clients will get some emotional reaction to us being in their house, and it rarely has to do with us, right? Because we are really consistent people. We follow a standing operating procedure. We don't vary our process, but we get varied reactions sometimes, and you see that more and more in people's houses, because these are now not just the places where our kids sleep. It's our place we lock up and keep us safe at night. We're working from home, we're learning from home, our pets are there. Everybody's hanging out at home now. So these are safe places, and you treated our place with as much care as we would have. And coming from somebody who only thinks about us inserting our people into lived-in houses, like that is a very high bar to cover. So it's nice to know that in some home services, whether it be realty or paint, we can find pros out there that do that. So huge compliment, man. It's nice to just work with a pro. So.
Thank you. Well, it was a pleasure selling your house. That was a blast. It was a lot of fun.
As a painter, I tried to make it easy. I couldn't have done any better.
It was the HG, and again, we're gonna make sure that Nick gets some pictures of that house, because it was stunning. It was is absolutely stunning.
Biggest compliment ever. I drove by the house maybe 2 months ago. There's not a dang thing that changed.
Absolutely not. I wouldn't. If you touched it, you would ruin it.
There's not a bush that got pruned. There's we literally had we planted a fruit tree for every one of my kids' birds, right?
Yes.
To kind of commemorate it.
Yes.
We took the fruit trees with us. The next owners put the same fruit trees back in. I was like, evidently we made some good choices with this house because they replicated exactly what we did. So it's
Nice.
Just satisfying.
Oh my God, that's fantastic. Well, Nick, thank you so much for being on. Again, I appreciate it. What a pleasure. Guys, this has been the Bourbon Bump. Thanks so much for watching. See ya.